Hi again. I want to share a little bit about the experience that we just had here. Trying to keep a little video log of each experience that we have here so I can really remember it and be able to share it. And the last experience that we just had was we got to hear Joseph Kony's wife, a woman who was abducted as a child and forced into marriage with Joseph Kony, one of his many wives, and had children, several children with him, and was able to escape the LRA and was set free. And is now a women's advocate for other women who have been affected by war or have been abducted. And just a little very, very brief history. When the current president of Uganda came into power, there were several different rebel and resistance groups that formed, and one of them is the LRA, the Lord's Resistance Army, of which Joseph Kony, or also known as just Kony, is the leader. And some of you may have been familiar with Invisible Children and the documentary that was done, maybe Kony 2012, which, there's very mixed opinions on whether that actually was hurtful or supportive for Uganda. And so this woman, Evelyn, I got her book right here. Just a moment. I've got some stuff here to show you. Evelyn Amoni. This is that beautiful face right there. Just came and spoke to us, to our group, and shared about her experience and what she went through, what she was able to say to us. She had such horrific experiences. She was abducted at age 12 while walking home from school, and was almost there, was a block away from her home or something, and was abducted by the LRA, by the resistance and the rebels. And so what they would do is they would abduct children all over northern Uganda. The war was kind of being fought there between Sudan and Ugandan border, that area, and the LRA mostly hid in the bush of Sudan. And so all the children that were around in northern Uganda, Gulu is a major area, were in danger of being abducted in the night. And young boys were being trained to be soldiers, pretty much like age 8 or so and above. They were at risk for being taken, or even sometimes a little younger, and forced to be brutal soldiers. And this is not just in Uganda. You may have heard of this happening in Nigeria and Sierra Leone and many places in Africa where children are abducted and taken into, trained to be soldiers. And so this was happening here in Uganda, and she was taken to become they also took young girls so that they could rape them and force them to become their wives, and, became their sexual objects. And she was taken and had 3 children. One of them actually has been lost, and she only, when she did make it out, only made it out with 2 of her children, and for many, many years was, forced to do sexual acts, and, basically was a slave to the LRA and to Kony himself as his wife. I haven't read her story yet. I'm going to be reading it for the rest of my time here and on my way home. And I really highly encourage you to get it on Amazon. And, what amazes me is that the human spirit is so goddamn resilient. There's no reason why this woman should be alive, first of all. There was so many brushes with death that she had where she could have been killed. But then to have gone through the amount of trauma that she did losing a child, rape, having to crawl on her hands and knees for miles and miles when she was abducted, couldn't even walk. Her feet were so ripped to shreds from walking on rocks, and miles and miles and miles and miles of being forced to walk to where the LRA was hiding out in the bush. And it's just a miracle that she's even alive, first of all. But now that she has survived, she has created a women's advocacy organization and helps women who've been affected by war. And she's created a women's group. She's created a women's circle, per se, and has circles of women that share about their experience. And she offers, hope. And her children are now being educated. I mean, the people that were abducted, there's such a cultural that have come back to Uganda, there's such a stigma attached to them, that they're just these wild beasts that were uneducated and affected by the LRA. And so now that they're free and they've come back home, they're treated like they're not treated necessarily with respect and dignity. So there's so many things working against these women. And yet they are survivors, and they have found a way to band together. You can see the necklace that I'm wearing. They have started a jewelry making business, and I just so happened to get a few for some of those sisters back home who may want some. And they have, learned to make some income off of jewelry. That's one way. But they're basically just barely surviving, and the only way they're surviving is each other and sisterhood. And this woman, Evelyn, and another woman named Grace, who's amazing, that I met and also is a survivor, also was abducted, also is now empowering other women. And it just makes you wonder, like, how is that humanly possible to have gone through so much? And, you learn about Holocaust survivors and the experiences that they had, and the way that they find this resilience and this hope in their hearts, that it's just unimaginable, the pain and the suffering that these people have been through. And yet there's a light and there's a hope. And it doesn't happen for everyone. Some people are severely traumatized with PTSD and are never able to really function again. And so it just all the more when there is a woman or a person who's able to have a voice in the face of such darkness, it's just incredible. And, I was in tears several times today hearing her story and her speak about what she went through. And I feel so inspired. And it really makes you look at your own life and think, okay, to each her own, right? We all go through our own struggles. But some of the suffering that people have been through in this world is, it's even beyond imaginable. And we just have such a, I feel, I can't speak for everyone, responsibility if we are like living and breathing and have like a smile on our face. We have such a responsibility to share that joy with the world and share our messages of hope, and whatever it is that you've been through that has created your story and has created the resilience in your life and in your heart, that we just have this responsibility to share it and to light, take our candle and to light the candles of all those around us in the darkness that, are suffering. And that's really what we're here to do. And when I see women like Evelyn and Grace doing it, despite, against all odds, it just inspires me all the more to keep doing it myself and to encourage other women to do the same, no matter what your story is. Or even if you don't feel you have a story, that we have a responsibility to light the way for each other. And it's uplifting collectively, all of us as women, to share our stories and to light each other's candles in the darkness and to band together and to uplift each other. It's the greatest gift in the world to even be able to do that, to even have a right to be living and breathing and having nourishment for our bodies, and, you know, way beyond just that, way beyond just surviving, you know, that we really are thriving, and there's so many ways every day that we get down and that we feel defeated, or that we feel like life is really hard. And there's no question that sometimes it is, like I said, to each her own. And these women, you know, what they say is the only thing that has kept them alive is being able to pass on the message of hope, and being able to come together and to share their love with other women who have been through what they have. So that's really the main message that I'm wanting to share and getting out of this, is taking whatever has been your hardship, whatever has been your challenge, and turning it into light for others, turning it into a gift for others. If you've made it through it, you have a gift to give. And so I encourage that with all my heart. And thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and to please share this message with anyone that you know needs to hear it, and share your story, share your message, because that's what's most important for our world. All right, lots of love.